The following video essay will be covering the auteur theory. More specifically, an example of a practitioner I believe to be a prime example of what an auteur looks like. The first thing we must cover in order to fully delve into the subject is what auteur theory is, and what makes a director an auteur. For this I prepared two quotes from the Encyclopedia Britannica that I feel best summarize the answer to these two questions. Firstly, auteur theory of filmmaking in which the director is viewed as the major creative force in the motion picture. Secondly, the auteur theory, which was derived largely from Astruc's elucidation of the concept of camera pen, holds that the director, who oversees all audio and visual elements of the motion picture, is to be considered more of an author of the film than the writer of the screenplay. In other words, such fundamental visual elements as camera placement, blocking, lighting, and scene length, rather than plot, convey the message of the film. Supporters of auteur theory further contend that more cinematically successful films will bear the unmistakable personal stamp of the director. Now, Edgar Wright. What makes Edgar Wright an auteur? To answer that question, we need simply but look at his filmography. From titles like Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, Scott Pilgrim, Baby Driver, and the newly released Last Night in Soho. It's clear to see that Edgar Wright plays a huge part in every aspect of his film, from conception to release. To show this, let's have a look at a series of clips from a handful of movies he's directed. In these clips, pay attention to the masterful way that Wright creates interest and captures your attention despite what's on screen being quite boring in nature. This is replicated again in Scott Pilgrim. Notice how the clips take advantage of the same technique of breaking up the energy of the scene quite abruptly before picking up again like nothing else happened. It's storytelling through motion. The visual and audio elements of the film are conveying the message, rather than the plotline, which we already established are the hallmarks of an auteur. I wanted to run there for a second, because I just wanted you to hear the audio elements and how they complement and sync up with the visual elements on screen. It's a common technique that Wright uses in his films. The great example of this is Baby Driver, a film almost entirely set to a soundtrack, a film that acts almost as if it's a musical, with audio and visual elements matching up perfectly throughout the film's duration. Watching that should give you a huge insight into what I find so fascinating about Wright. Every single element of that clip matches an internal beat that in this case is diegetic, but it's often non-diegetic, and for the characters other than Baby isn't heard. This practice of action syncing up, however, is no accident. It's another way that Wright creates tempo and pace through rhythmic, carefully planned editing. Another aspect of Wright's filmmaking is his understanding of transitions. When to cut. Wright has a way of cutting footage together that is so unique to him, a technique that has caused many to look upon with awe and wish to replicate in their own films. But no one does it quite like Wright. Every single cut and transition tells us something new. It all serves a purpose, and it always carries the energy of the previous cut. It's an art form. That's the best way I can describe it, what he does. It's art. Now I'm going to bring it full circle. I'm going to repeat the quote from the start. Auteur theory. The theory of filmmaking in which the director is viewed as the major creative force in a motion picture. That's Edgar Wright. No one else is making these decisions to follow this mode of cutting actions to audio with rhythmic editing, setting the pace and tempo, following such an energetic, almost entrancing style, having a natural fluidity, showing attention to details while not wasting a single second of screen time. Every cut holding purpose. That's the genius of Wright. That's what makes him an auteur.